welcome to today's meditation time. I would invite you just to be comfortable where you are. If you are seated, I would encourage you to get really grounded in your seat. Let your spine lengthen. If you're lying down or leaning into something, just really, again, let the spine elongate. And that will serve us well in our practice together today. If it feels right, you can close your eyes. If that's not where you are, just soften your gaze or find a spot where you can really just bring your attention. And then begin to notice the breath. Let the breath tell you how the day has been. Let it show you how just the moments before you arrived, how they were. Just really notice it. Don't ever take for granted the amazing and subtle messages that our breath continues to share with us, if we'll just be still and quiet so that we can hear them. And as you're noticing that breath, just settle into a rhythm that feels right. Just breathing in, and when you're ready, breathing out. And in and out. Just find the right cadence of breath for what you need today in these moments. And as we've gathered for just these few minutes together, the foundation or the inspiration for our time, it still comes from the Yoga Sutras, these amazing teachings that just, each time I engage with a different line, each time I read something that I've read many times before, it is like new learning. As if what I'm reading is applying to my life today, in this moment, in these situations. And the same words applied in different ways, it seems, the last time that I read them. And so I think that's why these texts have stood the test of time for so long. For thousands of years, they have just become timeless. And we're able to take the lessons and apply them to our lives, no matter what year it is, no matter what time period we live in. And so for the next few times that we're together, we're going to sit in meditation with something called the Vayus. In Sanskrit, the word Vayu means air. And oftentimes we think of air as this breath that we are breathing, this exchange of gas as we breathe in and we breathe out, the thing that keeps us alive. But the great writer spends some time telling us in the Yoga Sutras that if you can really control the direction of this air, this wind that's moving within you, you'll begin to experience things that you cannot even imagine in your consciousness, in your life, in your path that you walk every day. And so just think about this word Vayu, wind. We all have wind, the quality of air within us. Some have it more than others. It's this creative force. It's a thing that makes you want to be spontaneous, that makes you want to embrace change and transformation. It's a thing that makes us not feel stuck. And so it's this beautiful quality, this element of wind and air within us. And the same happens when it comes to our breath. Patanjali, the writer of the Yoga Sutra, says that if you can just use these different patterns of breath, of air, of wind, you'll be able to see the accomplishments, the impact that you really want to see in your life. That's why he embedded these teachings, this section, in the chapter on accomplishments. And so today for our practice, we're going to sit with Udana Vayu. And the way that he teaches this, he says, you breathe from the bottom all the way to the top. And you take that breath up that spinal column until you feel like it's just hovering at the top of your head, right about the place that you think the divine force of the world is just sitting there waiting to connect. For some of you, that is God. For some of you, that is Mother Earth or the universe, the cosmos. There's so many names that we each personally attach to that. But the idea is as you breathe and you let go of the things that you need to let go of, this Vayu, this wind that's moving within you, clears things out so that you feel connected to Source, the divine source in your life. Many of us believe that same source created all of this, the universe, the earth, the people. Others believe different things of how it's all manifested, but the idea is, if we breathe with intention, we will have access to feel that connection. And so that's why I invited you when we began to either sit up nice and tall or stretch out long, because I really hope that we can find this beautiful flow up and down the center of our body along our spine and just really experience what it means to breathe with intention through Udana Vayu. And Patanjali goes on, and I'll tell you this before we start, he goes on to say that as you master this kind of breath, this flow of wind and energy, it is as if you feel so light that you could walk across the water, that you could avoid the thorns and the mud that are part of life, and your footsteps would feel so light instead of feeling so heavy, so burdened. And so what we're trying to do in this practice today is just feel the lightness, as if you could take a step and not sink into the water because you are so light. Your foot would never find the mud, it would never find the thorns. You'd be carried by the lightness of your spirit. Just imagine what that would be like in your life. Don't think about it from your logical, realistic brain. Think about it from your spirit. To move through your life light. We know what it's like to move through our life heavy. Just imagine that no matter what you encounter, you do it with lightness of spirit. Just picture that. And now let's see if maybe we can't breathe in a way that helps us to actually physically, physiologically feel it within us. And so as you either sit really tall or you stretch out long, however you are configured for this practice, I would invite you just to picture kind of where your tailbone is, that spot that's either seated on your cushion or on your chair on the ground, or that spot right at the base of your spine, and just imagine that you're imagining this line going up the spine, over the heart, over the center of the forehead, all the way to the crown of your head. Almost like you're tracing that line with your mind's eye. It passes your heart, it passes your throat, it passes your forehead, that spot of clarity and wisdom. Imagine if this prana, this wind, this air, would just gently blow across that space, over the heart, over the voice, over the thoughts. So let's practice this together. Let's try to take our inhale as long and as slow and as gently as we can. And just imagine that it's pulling from the tailbone. The belly will expand. It will keep going up, gently whispering over the heart, the throat, the forehead, until it connects to the top of the head. Udana Vayu. So let's just exhale out all of the breath right here. And either sit tall or stretch out. And from deep in the belly, down by your tailbone, begin to breathe in. Let that breath just travel all the way up the spine, over the heart, the throat, the forehead, to the top of the head. And then gently exhale, release. And then again, breathing in from the tailbone, over the heart, the voice, the thoughts, connecting at the top of the head, and then breathe out. And then again, from the tailbone, let's breathe in over the heart, the voice, the truth, the thoughts, top of the head, and then release. Let's take one more breath here, all the way to the top. And then release. And we're going to try that again in just a moment, but what I would invite each of us to do, because we all come from different spiritual backgrounds, different faiths, different practices, but we all breathe. And so what I would invite you to do is imagine right there at the top of your head your picture of the divine presence in the universe. What does that look like for you? For some of you, maybe there's an actual face that you imagine. For others, maybe there's a light. For others, there's maybe a symbol. For others, there's just this expansive space that doesn't really have an image or a picture. But imagine if you could connect to that. Imagine the decisions that you would make, the clarity that you would draw from, the wisdom that you could tap into. Instead of imagining, maybe through this practice, through these next few breaths, you'll realize it's accessible, it's real, and it's available to you and available to me. So just picture, what does it look like for you? Is there a face? Is there a symbol? Is there light? Is there just open space? And I want you to hold that image in your mind's eye so that as we breathe, just imagine that that breath is coming up and you're connecting to that thing that you see. Almost as if you are physically touching it with your hand. But instead, we'll touch it with our breath and we'll feel the effect. So sit up nice and tall or stretch out long. And as you breathe in from way down at the tailbone, over the length of the spine, the heart, keep that picture in your mind's eye and imagine the breath going right up and connecting you to source. And then exhale, gently release. And then as you're ready, let's breathe in again. Udana Vayu. Up the center of the body, the heart, the thoughts. Connect to source. Exhale, release. Let's do that once more. Breathing in from the tailbone, over your heart center, all the way to the top of your head. See that image of the most precious picture that you can imagine. What does it look like for you? And then exhale, let it go. And then what we'll do is we're going to each breathe on our own for just this next moment or so of quiet. And I think we understand what it means to breathe in and to connect, to try to bring that breath all the way to the top. But as we each sit on our own, continuing to breathe, what I would encourage us to do is as you exhale, let that represent you letting go of anything that's in the way of you feeling connected to that source every single day. Even if you can't name it and you're not exactly sure what it looks like, just the belief that there is something bigger than you. When you exhale, be willing to release the things that are getting in the way. The things that are barriers to that connection. Some of them are internal. Some of them might be external. But as sure as you feel that breath, that air, that wind, that vayu filling you up, touching the connection to that source. Protect it in a way that as you exhale, you're saying, I don't want anything to get in the way of this. I want to walk through my life as if I'm stepping on water. I want to pass over the thorns and the mud. I don't want to feel stuck, and I don't want to feel heavy. I want to feel light. And I'm willing to let go of the things that are getting in the way of it. So continuing to breathe that slow, deep breath from the tailbone to the top of your head. And each of us in our own space, just picture as you exhale, what are you willing to let go of? And as you're ready, take one more deep breath in from the tailbone to the top of your head, all the way to your connection to that divine source, whatever it looks like for you. And then as you exhale, let that represent this idea that I may not know the things or be able to call them by name that are in the way. With this exhale, it's my commitment that I want to let those things go. If there's a mindset, if there's a habit, if there's an attitude, if there's something in my life externally that's keeping me from feeling that connection, that lightness of spirit every single day, I'm willing to consider letting it go. Because I deserve lightness of spirit. I deserve to walk as if my feet are just on the surface of the water, over the thorns, over the mud, always connected to Source. And so in the coming days, we'll practice different types of this Vayu, this movement of the air, movement of the energy, so that as you move through your life, you'll have these resources to draw from, whatever it is that you need. If you need connection to Source, now you know how to find it. And over the coming days, as we experiment with these types of breath, no matter what the situations are that you encounter, you'll have a tool to pull from, always maintaining lightness of spirit. Namaste.